Hello, everybody, and welcome back once again to EUIC VGC recasting coverage with yours truly. And today we are looking at the last round from day number 1 of EUIC of 2025 Regulation G, and it's an exciting one. We're going to go ahead and jump on over to it. It is Wolfe Glick versus Gennaro Matteo. I really hope I'm pronouncing our friend's name right here. But we're going to stay super spoiler free. But if you're a Pokemon fan and you've been on the internet, you generally know what happened here. We have Wolfe Glick here running a team that, man, it's just, you can't talk about this guy without talking about how good he is. Wolfe Glick is running a Parish Trap team. This is extremely similar to the team that he won, I believe, Toronto Regionals with a few months ago in Regulation H, just essentially bringing in Koraidon and Fluttermane for the other two Pokemon. We have Amoonguss, Incineroar, Koraidon, and Fluttermane. A very standard four. It is a Terra Normal Fluttermane, which is very intriguing. You do have Koraidon with Life Orb instead of Clear Amulet. You have Mental Herb Amoonguss with Terra Dark. And you have Terra Bug Incineroar with Safety Goggles, Fake Out, Parting Shot, Flare Blitz, notably not Will-O-Wisp, and Protect. These are all fairly standard Pokemon with a couple of little, unusual things. Nothing that's like out of the blue though. Then you have the Parish Trap duo with Screamtail and Gothitelle. Gothitelle is, if you want to put an iconic Pokemon with a player, Gothitelle and Wolfe Glick are basically synonymous. Gothitelle's Shadow Tag makes it so that opposing Pokemon cannot switch out, and Screamtail with Perish Song makes sure that those opposing Pokemon are going to die in 3 turns. It's a very, very deadly duo, but it's hard to use. It's extremely difficult to use, and Wolfe is one of the only ones that's been able to make it work. You have Gennaro over here with Calyrex Shadow Rider, Clefairy with Terra Grass, a whole bunch of supporting moves, Urshifu, Rapid Strike with Terra Stellar and Focus Sash, along with a full suite of main damaging moves. I don't know what I was saying there. Chiyu with Terra Ghost, so it cannot get hit with Fake Out, and this is a Choice Specs Chiyu, so not quite as fast, but hits much harder, and it does have Dark Pulse, notably. Rillaboom with Terra Fire, Assault Vest, Wood Hammer, Grassy Glide, U-Turn, and Fake Out, and then Tornadus Incarnate with Covert Cloak, Terra Dark, Bleak Windstorm, Tailwind, Rain Dance, and Taunt. Rain Dance is huge against a Koraidon team, and Taunt can be very, very useful against anything that wants to use Perish Song, although we did see, in fact, that I can't even remember the name of it. Screamtail does have Terra Dark to get around that potential Prankster Taunt. For Gennaro here, this is a very standard Calyrex Shadow Rider team. This is something that you would see a lot of on potentially the ladder, or even at something you would see in a tournament during your regionals. Clefairy plus Calyrex Shadow Rider was a huge thing in our previous cycle through Regulation G with that Friend Guard ability. After You, Follow Me, Protect, and Helping Hand are all phenomenal supportive moves. And then you have kind of rounding it out with your strong physical attackers in Urshifu and Rillaboom. Rillaboom a little bit more supportive. That Stellar Urshifu going to be dishing out the physical side of damage that Calyrex can't quite hit. But this matchup is super, super tricky, not because you have some insane Pokemon here, or insane Pokemon players here, but because of what Wolfe has brought. So, coming into game number 1 here, Gennaro just says, you know what? Let's keep it simple. Tornadus and Calyrex Shadow Rider here. Let's guarantee a speed advantage, and let's hit hard. Unfortunately, you are staring down an Incineroar here and an Amoonguss. Incineroar does resist any ghost type attacks, and Amoonguss is pretty darn bulky, and Amoonguss also has Mental Herb to shake off any potential taunts. Wolfe does also have Parting Shot and Flare Blitz on this Incineroar. A lot of times we'll see Knockoff as a damaging move on Incineroars, which is very, very threatening to Calyrex, but without that Knockoff, Incineroar can't quite do as much. It does have the option to click Parting Shot, which is very, very useful. Parting Shot into the Calyrex does drop its special attack by 1, and a lot of times we see Nasty Plot on Calyrex, so that's kind of why it's there, and it's a pretty safe move. It allows Incineroar to switch out, and it's going to be moving last on this field. It also can't click Fake Out because Covert Cloak doesn't do anything, and Fake Out does not affect ghost types. So that kind of leaves Wolfe with the option of Parting Shot or Flare Blitz. We do see the Terastallization here, and it's going to be the Terra Dark Amoonguss. Even though it has the Mental Herb, it doesn't want to use it or let it be used up yet. So it goes for the Terra Dark so that it can avoid getting taunted. We do see the Protect come out for the Calyrex here, not wanting to get hit with Parting Shot or Flare Blitz, and we see the Rain Dance for the Tornadus. The rain comes in. I was going to say hot and heavy, but not quite cold and damp. We do see the parting shot, though. Tornadus attack is going to fall, as well as a special attack that could come in pretty big with Bleak Wind Storm damage later in the game. But now that Rain Dance is set up, that gives Wolfe the opportunity to turn on Sun if he so chooses, although he certainly doesn't have to. Koraidon doesn't really mind going up against a Shadow Rider necessarily, although it cannot terrastalize here. A lot of times Koraidon wants to take advantage of the Sun by going Terra Fire and then hitting its own Flame Charge or Flare Blitz. But alas, it is not to be. We do see Amoonguss go for Spore here, but the Calyrex protected. We have the Rain Dance up, and we have just a couple of repositions here, just some slight changes to that starting position. Amoonguss has terrastalized, so that Terra is committed, and we have the Flutter Mane on the field. Tornadus can still go for Tailwind if it so chooses. And with this Flutter Mane on the field, without that Calyrex asleep, this Flutter Mane is under quite a lot of threat. It can't Terra normal to avoid the Astral Barrage here, but it could potentially go for some other damaging moves. It also has the opportunity to switch back out into Incineroar to re-up parting shot pressure. Amoonguss, though, as we said before, is still very, very tanky and not that scared of what's on the field, especially with that Tornadus having a special attack drop. We do see the Calyrex going for the terrestrialization here, removing its own ghost type weakness and going for that Terra Fairy. Notably, this does make it weak to Amoonguss's Sludge Bomb, and we see the Flutter Mane protect. So what is this Tornadus going to do? That's the big question here. We see the Draining Kiss actually come out of the Calyrex. It's going to be into the Amoonguss. That is going to be super effective thanks to the Dark type terrestrialization. And with a critical hit, it takes out Amoonguss. Draining Kiss, I believe it is a 50 base power move here, but with the Life Orb, with being on a Shadow Rider Calyrex, and with the Fairy terrestrialization, and with the crit, it takes it out. The Grimnag gives it a +1 special attack boost. We do see the Bleak Wind Storm, but Flutter Mane protects itself, but that is just a clean one-hit KO into this Amoonguss. I mean, that damage is just ridiculous. Koraidon hits the battlefield now. That is going to trigger the Orichalcum Pulse. The Sun is back on the field, and Flutter Mane's Photosynthesis is going to fire off. Now, if you are Gennaro here, you have to decide between hitting Tailwind or Rain Dance. Either one, I'm not sure you mind doing. If you go for the Tailwind here, the Calyrex can just go for another Draining Kiss. It really doesn't mind that. If you go for the Rain Dance, you are potentially subject to more damage from this Koraidon. But at the same time, you still have the opportunity, because you'll likely survive with the Calyrex. It is very, very fast, but you still have the chance to go for a Draining Kiss. And if you're Wolfe, this Koraidon is under huge threat. It does not want to take a 4-time super effective Draining Kiss, and so we see the swap out. Incineroar, the great friend, coming back onto the battlefield here in the Sun. Intimidate doesn't do anything against these front two Pokemon here. Tornadus does indeed opt for the Rain Dance. That is going to de-trigger Flutter Mane's Protosynthesis, and Calyrex is once again, it's actually not the fastest thing on the field, notably, even with the Protosynthesis no longer being active, and the Moonblast comes out, taking Calyrex down to half. The Astral Barrage is going to come through, though. It takes the Flutter Mane down to its Focus Sash, and Incineroar down to just about half. The Focus Sash is huge for Flutter Mane here, but Tornadus has the opportunity now to hit a very, very free Tailwind. That said, if Incineroar does, or if Tornadus does go for Tailwind here, potentially not calling another Rain Dance. If Tornadus goes for Tailwind here, Incineroar could switch out into the Koraidon, triggering Sun again, triggering Flutter Mane's Protosynthesis, and we saw that Moonblast do a ton of damage into the Calyrex. You could potentially go for Protect on the Calyrex, as well as a Tailwind from the Tornadus, and then if the Koraidon switches in, if the Koraidon switches in, then you click Rain Dance on the next turn, potentially. If the Koraidon doesn't switch in, then on the next turn, you could just go for a Bleak Wind Storm, or maybe even a Taunt if you needed to. Now, this Calyrex can get hit with Fake Out, which is another reason to protect. We see the Protect come in there, and it looks like that might be what Gennaro is exactly going for. The Fake Out does stop it, or the Fake Out does go into that slot, so it doesn't get any damage off here. Flutter Mane has the opportunity to go for a pretty bold call here if you're Wolfe. The Protect makes a lot of sense out of this Calyrex, so going for a Moonblast into the Tornadus could be pretty big, but nope, Wolfe was trying to make the call, get the damage out here and now. So Tailwind gets set up for relatively free. And now you have Rain up, you have Tailwind up, you don't have the weather or the speed advantage if you are Wolf, and there's not really a good way to get either. This Calyrex is going to outspeed both of what you have, and you no longer have fake out pressure on the field. Fluttermane goes for the protect here, wants to stay alive and active, maybe hoping that with a photosynthesis boost, if the Koraidon can come back in safely, that it will be able to take over this game. Draining Kiss into the Incineroar is going to heal this Calyrex up quite a bit, and I believe that is going to take it out of potential Moon Blast range. Incineroar goes down, and that leaves Wolf to a Koraidon plus a Fluttermane. The Grimnay boost, that is now 2 +1s onto the Calyrex. It's going to be able to take out just about anything. The Bleak Wind Storm is just going to hit into the Protect here. It does guaranteed hit in the rain. Now with Koraidon coming back onto the field, that is going to set Sun up, but this is going to be the last chance that Wolf has to set up the Sun, and Gennaro, with just these front 2 Pokemon on the field, has absolutely obliterated Wolf's strategy here. Again, Tornadus with Prankster Rain Dance can just set that up, and Astral Barrage should just take out both of these Pokemon with relative ease. Wolf could go for Protect here, try and get a double Protect, take some risks, hope that Gennaro makes a pretty big misplay, but I just don't see it happening. Rain Dance comes through. Photosynthesis is going to wear off. Koraidon, Koraidon certainly is not going to be outspeeding anything under Tailwind here. Astral Barrage comes through. It's going to take out the Fluttermane. I imagine it's going to take out the Koraidon, although this could be something that Wolf is testing out, but yes, it does. +2 Astral Barrage is taking him out just about anything in the format. And with just 2 Pokemon, Gennaro Matteo takes down Wolfe Glick in game number 1. That is not something that you see every day. Calyrex Shadow Rider is just extremely strong, and with some very smart Terras, a pretty impactful crit, and some well-timed protects, Gennaro is able to take game 1 about as clean as you possibly could get. I don't even think Tornadus took any damage. So going into game number 2 here, Wolf is going to have to make some big changes. We could potentially see that Perish Trap duo coming in. We could see instead a change of pace or perhaps some other calls. But those were the 4 non-Perish Trap Pokemon. We could even see potentially Gothitelle come in without the Scream Tail, using it as a Shadow Tag and Fake Out, an additional Fake Out user. But we'll have to see. And we're going to go ahead and jump straight in to game number 2 here. The leads, I am expecting to see something different from Wolf, but not, no. Gennaro leads at the exact same. Wolf, though, brings the Amoonguss and the Fluttermane. I believe, I'll be honest, I don't remember exactly what it was on the first time, but I do not believe Fluttermane was the lead in the last game. It was Incineroar the lead in the last game. That's what it was. So now you have Fluttermane on the field already. It has the opportunity to potentially get boosted by Photosynthesis if Wolf brings in the Koraidon, but it already outspeeds the Calyrex. So once again, Tornadus is put into a little bit of a pickle. This is something that we noticed in the last game. It was kind of there, but Wolf wasn't able to take advantage of it. That Tornadus has to choose between setting up Rain Dance, clicking Rain Dance to anticipate Koraidon switching in and stopping Photosynthesis, or clicking Tailwind to get this to get Calyrex to outspeed Fluttermane without the Sun, potentially. We do see Wolf terrestrializing the Fluttermane. It's going to be immune to Astral Barrage, which is pretty big, but Gennaro goes for the Protect on the Calyrex here, giving Tornadus an extra opportunity to get a turn. We see the Taunt go into the Amoonguss slot here. We don't get any redirection, no Rage Powder, no Spores, but the Mental Herb wears it off. For Gennaro, you're just saying, all right, let's get rid of the Mental Herb here. We'll see what happens. Wolf goes for the Spore into the Tornadus here. The previous game, Gennaro had gone for the Protect on the Calyrex, and Wolf had gone for the Spore there, but with the Spore into the Tornadus, the Genie is now asleep. And this makes Wolf's life much, much easier. With Tornadus asleep, this gives Fluttermane a pretty free shot into that Calyrex slot. It can go for Protect on this turn, but it would have to get a double Protect, which is a very, very risky move, and Amoonguss can now start sporing wherever it wants to. That Mental Herb, absolutely clutch. And notably, without the Terra Dark here, the Terra switching over to the Fluttermane, Gennaro was making a pretty big call that the Amoonguss wasn't going to terrestrialize, but now we see the Clefairy from the back coming in. Moonblast does a huge chunk of damage there, but getting rid of that Clefairy is now Wolf's #1 priority. We see the Astral Barrage come through. It does over half to the Amoonguss, which is a ton of damage. But with that little bit of Life Orb recoil, and now this Spore, this Calyrex is now out of this game for the next turn. It's Clefairy essentially on the field versus 2 pretty scary Pokemon, and Wolf is now in a spot where I could see this Amoonguss and Fluttermane potentially being the only 2 Pokemon on the field if Wolf wants to try to get some ego going here. But Wolf plays smartly here, is going to bring that Amoonguss's health back up. bring in the Koraidon and trigger Fluttermane's photosynthesis. It's going to be nice and speedy once again, and it is going to be slinging out even more damage. Notably for this Fluttermane, this Focus Sash is still intact, which is pretty darn big. That gives it 2 lives against whatever tries to deal it too much damage. And this Clefairy doesn't have any damaging moves itself. Gennaro goes for a Terastallization here. It is going to be on the Calyrex. It can't move this turn, but the Terra Fairy is nice and defensive, removes some weaknesses, does provide a couple of others, but right now Gennaro is making that call that this is worth it. Clefairy goes for the Protect. It wants to stay on this field, hoping that Calyrex can wake up on the next turn. It can't wake up this turn. This is going to be its one mandated turn of sleep, government-mandated turn of sleep. Shadow Ball is going to do a decent chunk, but not nearly enough. Calyrex is fast asleep, but now it can get hit by very, very strong Fire-type moves from this Koraidon without the rain getting set up. Clefairy can get hit by these pretty damaging moves as well, and Fluttermane and Koraidon make a very potent duo with a lot of damage present on the board. Koraidon is going to switch out. Again, this next turn here is where this Calyrex can wake up, but we see the Incineroar come out. Its fake out pressure is now very much alive and well against this Calyrex, and Fluttermane is left on the field to do damage as it pleases. Follow Me comes out of the Clefairy here. It doesn't have any damaging moves, so you might as well. Moonblast comes through. It's going to do quite a bit. It does not take the Clefairy out, though, and Calyrex remains fast asleep. Clefairy will go down to a fake out here. It could still use Follow Me, but fake out into the Clefairy, Moonblast, or Shadow Ball potentially into the Calyrex. Both will do damage. You can guarantee that the Clefairy won't do much this turn with fake out, but Calyrex goes for the Protect here. That is pretty big. This is potentially a double Protect, trying to stall out the fake out. That is exactly what we see. So fake out no longer alive and well, no longer active. The Moonblast isn't going to do anything, and notably Wolfe was going to go for, it looks like, a parting shot from this Incineroar. Nope, going for a Flare Blitz. Completely forgot about that. Going for a Flare Blitz into the Calyrex here, but with that double Protect, that was Wolfe's best shot at if Gennaro made a mistake, going for an attacking move on the wake up that the Calyrex would have gone down almost certainly. So, once again, Follow Me is active. It will take away the Fluttermane's attack, but the Fluttermane's attack will take out the Clefairy, and then that'll give Incineroar a pretty good shot into the Calyrex. Once again, Gennaro could switch out here, although I don't know if keeping Clefairy alive is a massive, massive priority. It is a very strong Pokemon, and it makes this Calyrex a lot bulkier. Draining Kiss here could still do quite a bit of work, but Fluttermane with the Moonblast could do enough damage to this Calyrex to take it out. But like I said, we don't exactly know. Friend Guard makes the math really, really difficult here. Moonblast to just get rid of this Clefairy could be it. Helping Hand, Draining Kiss as well could do a lot. It doesn't have any special attack drops, so we'll have to see. Moonblast comes through, the Clefairy goes down. That's pretty big here. Who is this Calyrex targeting, and will it take them out? How much damage is it going to do? It is that Draining Kiss. It's going to bulk this Calyrex back up. It is into the Incineroar, so it takes Incineroar down to half, and it's going to put Calyrex pretty close to full HP here, if not all the way. Couldn't quite see if it got all the way back up, but with that Life Orb, it's going to bring it down a little bit more. This is a Flare Blitz in the sun. Calyrex goes down to about 25% HP, and a pretty big burn. With the Draining Kiss, that might not be enough to take it out over the course of several turns, but it is pretty big chip damage, bringing the Shadow Rider into the red. Gennaro is now down to just 3 Pokemon. Tornadus is in quite a lot of danger if it wants to switch in, as is the Shadow Rider, but now we see Chi-Yu on the battlefield. This is Choice Specs Chi-Yu notably, and it does not have a Photosynthesis speed boost. This Fluttermane does have Moonblast, which will do a lot of damage, and Incineroar can still go in with a Flare Blitz. Incineroar, I don't know if Incineroar goes down to another Draining Kiss here, as that was Helping Hand boosted, but it's not, I don't know if it's a risk Wolfe necessarily wants to take. You do have Amoonguss in the back, which would take Draining Kiss really, really well, thanks to being a poison type, but it doesn't really want to face down this Chi-Yu in the sun, notably, which if you're Gennaro, well, hey, you know, you get sun set up, you want to bring this Chi-Yu in, that feels pretty darn good. You get the sun set up for yourself. The Protect comes in for the Fluttermane. Make sure that even still, its Focus Sash does not get broken. Calyrex goes for a Protect as well here. Chi-Yu and Incineroar are going to be the only 2 attacking. Never mind, Incineroar goes for a Protect as well. Chi-Yu is going to be the only one attacking. Wolfe getting to see what this Chi-Yu locks into. It is going to be that Heat Wave. So, Amoonguss, pretty scared of that. I'd be quivering in my mushroom-shaped boots as well if I was the Amoonguss, but Incineroar doesn't mind taking it. With the sunlight fading Fluttermane's Photosynthesis does wear off. It is going to slow down. Calyrex takes a little bit more additional damage, but this does weaken Chi-Yu's Heat Wave. That could be the most important thing here. Now, Calyrex is under a lot of threat here. It cannot take out either of these Pokemon in one shot and would likely go down due to it, having just protected. And so Gennaro says, all right, get back here. Tornadus, go on in. It is still asleep, and it's going to go ahead and take a Moonblast directly to the face. Chi-Yu is going to get an attack off here. It is going to be Heat Wave. Any misses here would be absolutely massive, and Incineroar does not get hit. I don't know if that would have taken it out. Incineroar is pretty tanky, and it is a fire type, but it takes a ton of damage onto that Flutter Mane. Notably, though, that takes Flutter Mane's Focus Sash away. Incineroar switches out here. We could see the Amoonguss or the Koraidon. Either one could make an appearance, although I think the Koraidon is more likely. Again, Amoonguss does not like Chi-Yu. It is an allergic. It has a fish allergy. Gennaro, though, is going to have a Calyrex and a Chi-Yu on the field. That's going to be a lot of damage present, but if Koraidon comes in, Fluttermane has the opportunity to take out this Chi-Yu or at least do a lot of damage to it. I don't know if it would be able to get a full KO, but the Calyrex very likely could protect. We know that Chi-Yu with the Heat Wave hit would take out the Fluttermane, but how much damage can this Chi-Yu take from a Fluttermane hit? We see Wolfe here taking his time. This is one of those things where if you have the opportunity to think about some stuff, some time in a round to maybe think about the next game, if you think you have this locked up, or think about your next moves, absolutely take it, right? Do not feel bad. Some people might be like, oh, you're stalling. Stalling is simply thinking under a worse name. So Fluttermane's Photosynthesis is active. It's going to be the fastest thing on the field, bar none. And with the harsh sunlight returning, Koraidon's attack power gets even stronger. Notably, so does Chi-Yu's. Calyrex comes back out onto the battlefield. That as one ability, it does not have any attack boosts, which is pretty big, but Koraidon could potentially outspeed it. I don't know if that matters. Moonblast into the Chi-Yu is going to do a lot of damage. So could Close Combat, so could Flare Blitz, so could Flame Charge. I don't know if this Fluttermane makes it through this turn, but I don't know if Gennaro makes it through this turn, quite frankly. I don't believe that Chi-Yu can outspeed this Koraidon since it does not have Focus Sash. I think that's pretty important. And we see no protects here. Moonblast goes straight into the Calyrex. Calyrex goes down. It is now a Chi-Yu 4v1. It does have a lot of damage onto Wolfe's Pokemon, as well as an Amoonguss that it doesn't really want that it can deal with pretty easily. But Koraidon goes for the close combat into the Chi-Yu. That should just take it out. Koraidon is a strong Pokemon. And Wolfe, with 4 Pokemon left standing, takes a very convincing game number 2. So 2 pretty dominant games from both players here. I will say game 1 was kind of a rout, quite frankly, but game 2, Wolfe making some really smart calls, really smart reads, switching out his Pokemon as needed, not taking too many huge risks, and being able, and with that Spore on the Amoonguss, like that alone kind of sealed the game very, very early. Pokemon getting put to sleep is just brutal, especially if they get put to sleep after they've attacked. And then they still take damage that turn, and they're going to take more damage on the next turn. So Amoonguss pulling a lot of weight in that matchup, and it didn't have to face down a Chi-Yu, and it'll take that. It didn't get roasted today. But going into this game number 3, I don't know if you're Gennaro, do you make some changes here? Wolfe was able to adapt really, really well. Do you make changes to that Tornadus Calyrex lead, or do you keep going with it? That game 1 was so dominant, so strong. You have to make some other reads, make some other adjustments, try to take advantage of Amoonguss being on the field, get rid of it sooner. We will have to see in game number 3. So, will Wolfe bring Perish Trap? No, or at least not yet. We see the Koraidon and the Fluttermane, and Gennaro has made the switch. That is a Rillaboom and a Calyrex on the field. Fake out pressure applied to that Koraidon, although it can still click Protect, and we have Ghost type damage pressure onto the Calyrex from Shadow Ball from Fluttermane. Terastallization for any of these Pokemon here, quite frankly, is a possibility. Grassy Surge will offset any Life Orb damage that the Calyrex is taking. But again, Terastallization here, Rillaboom going Terra Fire to resist any Flare Blitz could be huge. Fluttermane going Terra Normal to resist to make itself immune to Astral Barrages. We could see a Terra Fire out of the Koraidon to make it not 4 times weak to Draining Kiss, and we could see Calyrex go for Terra Fairy to make it not weak to Fluttermane's Shadow Ball. All of it makes sense, but what is the call going to be? Personally, we've seen that Calyrex go Terra Fairy every single game so far. I wouldn't be surprised if we see that. If you're Wolfe, the Terra Normal was huge in the last game. I don't know if you go for it for this turn, though, or if you try to go for something a little bit different. That's exactly what we see. The Flutter Mane retreats, and we see the Amoonguss come out onto the battlefield. Amoonguss loves to see a Rillaboom. You know Fake Out's not going into that slot, so you're not too concerned about it. And we see the Terastallization come out from Gennaro, and that is going to be a Terra, Fairy, Shadow Rider, Calyrex. So, Draining Kiss here. I'm absolutely terrified of it if I am a Koraidon. I do not want to see it, and so I click the Protect button. You don't want to get hit by the Fake Out anyways, and you don't want to get hit by a Terra, Fairy, Draining Kiss. So, Koraidon alive and well with that fire type move up, and Amoonguss is now on the field, but it's not a Draining Kiss. It's a nasty plot, a huge call. You know this Koraidon doesn't want to take any damage here. You know with Terra Fairy you can survive a Shadow Ball, so getting that +2 damage boost is massive. However, you now have an Amoonguss on the field that can redirect Calyrex single target Draining Kiss. Potentially, you might be scared of an Astral Barrage if you are Wolf, but likely not. Also, I do want to say, we've seen three of Wolf's Pokemon. We have not seen either Gothitelle or Screamtail here. I think it's highly unlikely we will see either of those Pokemon. If you're Wolf, you probably want to bring that Perish Trap duo together, not one at a time. If we are going to see one, I imagine it would be Gothitelle on its own. So, Wolf here has the option to redirect and then get some damage out with the Koraidon. We see the Terastallization here. I doubt we're going to see Terra Dark Amoonguss. You want to have that type resistance, and instead we see the Terra Fire Koraidon. This dude is absolutely going to be feasting against a Rillaboom and a Shadow Rider Calyrex, and it is actually the fastest thing on the field. It goes for a Flare Blitz in the sun. It takes down this Shadow Rider Calyrex with absolutely no issues. Calyrex goes down, and Rillaboom is on the field wondering what the hell just happened. That is a ton of recoil damage on top of Life Orb damage. Woodhammer comes through. It's just going into the Amoonguss slot, which doesn't do hardly anything, and a little bit of recoil damage onto this Rillaboom. Amoonguss goes for a Spore, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't affect the Rillaboom. Koraidon says thank you for that HP restoration here. I mean, if Koraidon takes another KO with Flare Blitz, it just might knock itself out. That was a ton of damage on a super, super fast Pokemon, and this Koraidon is absolutely thriving. There is no more Fake Out pressure that Gennaro can provide. He can bring out some other speed or weather control. That's his best bet. Maybe going for a Rain Dance here to try to weaken any potential Flare Blitz, but also Koraidon doesn't mind clicking Close Combat. Wolf does not have Collision Course on this Pokemon. Does not have that signature move. Instead just has the most standard powerful fighting type move in the game, Close Combat. We see the Clefairy come out and we see the Rain Dance. That is going to neuter a lot of this Koraidon's damage. It's going to take away its ability boost. It's going to take away the Sun boost, but Flare Blitz is going to come through, and Koraidon is still a strong Pokemon. That said, it doesn't do nearly enough to this Tornadus. It does about a third of its HP. And Koraidon is going to take a little bit of recoil and a little bit of Life Orb damage. We see the Spore come through though now on the Tornadus, and it is put to sleep. It will not get to move next turn. This Clefairy now on the battlefield. Once again, this Clefairy is next to a Pokemon that cannot attack on the next turn. This Clefairy really does not like to be in these positions. It's supposed to be next to a strong Pokemon that's dealing damage that it can help do that role. And right now, it's just left to try to keep that slot next to it alive. Try not to let that slot take too much damage. Wolf switches out the Koraidon and brings in the Flutter Mane. Clefairy goes for the Protect here, maybe trying to avoid getting hit by a Sludge Bomb or a Spore itself, and Tornadus stays fast asleep. It's also not even getting any recovery from the grassy terrain because it's a flying type and not touching the ground. Sludge Bomb takes it down below half HP, and with Flutter Mane now on the field, it's going to be able to do a lot of damage. This Amoonguss could easily switch out into the Koraidon to reset the sun. Tornadus would once again have to click Rain Dance to try to offset that. Once again, it's stuck between a rock and a hard place, trying to pick between Rain Dance or Tailwind, but it's even still asleep, so does it matter? Rillaboom comes back onto the field. I believe Grassy Terrain leaves next turn, so it will not get a chance to set that back up. But here we do see the Tailwind. No other switches from Wolf here on these two Pokemon. Moonblast comes out from the Flutter Mane, and Tornadus goes down. Two Pokemon have fallen for Gennaro, and none have fallen for Wolf. A very smart Sludge Bomb into that Clefairy slot. It couldn't protect, and even into the Assault Vest that does about a third of Rillaboom's HP, and the poison there as well. That very well could spell the end of this Rillaboom. Grassy Terrain is going to fade either at the end of this turn or the next. Yeah, it goes away now, so no Grassy Glides for this Rillaboom. Its best bet is going to be able to click Fake Out, but it can only Fake Out into this Amoonguss. It's a Rillaboom and Clefairy now against the world, and Wolf has the opportunity, when needed, if he so chooses, to bring back this Koraidon, and it's going to have the sun back up, and it won't be able to go down, and Wolf taking a dominant game 3 into an extremely dominant, or a dominant game 2 into an extremely dominant game number 3, and taking home round number 8. Wolfe Glick, a hell of a player, but going from game 1 where you just, you get swept. You essentially get swept. You get swept in game 1 by two Pokemon on your opponent's side of the field. That said, there was a big crit, but crits are part of the game, baby. Crits are part of the game. Into game number 2 where you don't lose a Pokemon. You do have to make some smart switches. Into game number 3 where you don't even have to show your fourth and you just steamroll things. That is a very, very strong showing on the last round of Swiss for day number 1. But that'll be it for me for this one, but we're going to continue with day number 2 on tomorrow. So come back, be square, be there, be square. Until next time, be safe, be smart, make wise decisions, and farewell.